No, my god. Is that a review from a channel that only does garbage highlights for his friends? Yeah, okay, yeah, it is. It's a video that I put some effort into to push the channel in a new direction and I think is pretty good. So, get off my effing back about it. Why are you on my back? I don't even know you. Anyway, Kingdom Hearts is a game that you have probably heard of, one of two ways. You've heard of a game that is like a Disney anime crossover that didn't really make any sense, nor is it really your speed, and that's fine. Or maybe you heard about it from a friend in your friend group that has played the game, but you don't want to bring it up around him, as he'll just keep talking about it, and quite frankly, you are worried for him, but you're not really prepared to do anything about it yet, and that's fine. But, from a figure that maybe you don't know, Kingdom Hearts is a great game, for four main reasons for me, and I'll go over those reasons. Gameplay is just fast, it's fluid, it looks flashy, 3 Fs, so you got the alliteration, which is already a strong start. It is a little bit easy, but, you know, we ain't talking Dark Souls over here, although we will get into that. The story of this game, I'll be honest with you, is kind of weak. It's not, it ain't Mother effing Mozart, bro, it ain't a Shakespeare play, get off my back. The soundtrack, though. Let me talk about the soundtrack for a second. My god, is it just... It blows your mind how good it is, bro. Banger after banger in every level of the game. It has at least one song that will just blow your freaking nuts off. I'm talking soundtrack that rivals games like Persona 5, to be specific, and Witcher 3, which are also, for being honest, 2 games that I'd like to review, but, you know... get off my back about it. That's a long time down the way, right? I ain't got footage for those games, right? Get off my back. And the fourth point is something that I will talk about later, as I don't want to, I have a plan for it, it's gonna blow your mind, so I'm really happy with it, so I'm not gonna spoil it now. Get off, again, you're on my back, dude, you're just constantly on my back. Get off of it. Saying Kingdom Hearts isn't Dark Souls is not entirely accurate, as Dark Souls is actually a very good comparison for Kingdom Hearts, as they both consist of 2 main gameplay loops, exploration of an area and combat of enemies. In both Dark Souls and Kingdom Hearts, your main combat is mashing one button until the enemy stops moving, hopefully, with few variables to break up that monotony. In Dark Souls, these variables are ranged combat with bows or guns in Bloodborne, usable items like bombs or throwing knives, and magic. Kingdom Hearts variables also has magic, and it has summons and drive forms. Now, the more flashier things, like magic, summons, or drive forms, usually require something. So magic has a mana bar that refills if it runs out, and summons and drives have a drive limit, or whatever the frick. Has 9 bars, and if you run out of bars, your summon goes away or your drive goes away. It's pretty simple, and really doesn't provide too much difficulty unless you're in the higher difficulties where you're gonna have to block and roll. Yeah, it's actually a Dark Souls game. Now think about it, it's actually a Dark Souls game. It's actually Dark Souls before Dark Souls was Demon Souls, if you think about it. And then in the exploration portion, it has Sora and Donald and Goofy and sometimes a 4th Jit, according to the world, you know, exploring Disney's top 50 hits, like it was a Billboard chart. You got Aladdin, you got Hercules, you got Nightmare Before Christmas. In Hercules, your 4th companion is not Hercules, it's Auron from Final Fantasy X, because that is... that's what the fans want to see. Hercules... it's Auron. It's Auron. It's freaking Auron. Dude's got 1 arm. He's still... I mean, come on. Guy's epic. The combat also includes triangle commands, which you may have seen in the background footage. And triangle commands are usually a little cutscene. I wouldn't really call them a QuickTime event, because usually it's only 1 button press, so usually it's more of a prompt than a QuickTime event. And these things usually do a lot of damage, they look freaking sweet, and they really just speed up the fight in general. And this comes in really handy on the higher difficulties, where most things will one-shot you, not unlike a Dark Souls game. Kingdom Hearts 2. With the name 2, you would imagine that it's the second game in the franchise, either sequentially or chronologically, yet it is neither. There are 3 games off the top of my head that come before 2, in the form of Birth by Sleep, 358 by 2 Days, and Chain of Memories. And even in release date order, Chain of Memories came out before Kingdom Hearts 2. And that's where my main problem with Kingdom Hearts 2's story rises, is that the fact that a lot of Kingdom Hearts 2's story relies on the foundation built by the side games, some of which aren't even released yet, like Birth by Sleep and 358 by 2 Days, which came out over 4 years after Kingdom Hearts 2, I believe. And so it's hard to make a really good story if your foundation's already wobbly. For example, in the beginning of the game, Sora wakes up from amnesia, or coma or something. The guy has amnesia. He doesn't remember anything from the events of the first game or Chain of Memories, right? And you play as a kid named Roxas, who you don't know, because he wasn't in the first game, and he also wasn't in Chain of Memories. The game that explains who Roxas is 358 by 2 Days, but that won't come out for another 4 years if we're playing this on release day. So, we have no clue who Roxas is. If you want to find out how Sora lost his memory, well, you gotta go play Chain of Memories, which at this point, Chain of Memories is only a Game Boy game. But you may know that Kingdom Hearts, at least at this time, was only on PlayStation. So, it's unlikely that most kids, or even adults at this point, either A, got their hands on both Kingdom Hearts 1, 2, and then Chain of Memories, as Chain of Memories is on another freaking console, or platform, whatever the frick you want to call it, and B, even beat Chain of Memories to begin with. Because it's not like 1 and 2 gameplay-wise, it's a freaking card game. It's like goddamn Hearthstone, or Yu-Gi-Oh! And the gameplay is such a radical change, and if you ask me, a change for the worst, that it's unlikely that you'll even get through the game to see the story that explains the beginning of Kingdom Hearts 2, because it's just not worth it. And so, Kingdom Hearts 2's foundation is essentially gone, because Chain of Memories is nowhere to be seen, and 358 by 2 Days is not effing created yet. So it's hard to build a story on top of that, when you're already lost the moment you boot up the game. Now, I may have sounded really negative in the story portion of the video, but I don't actually hate the story in Kingdom Hearts, and that's for one good reason. The soundtrack. The soundtrack easily makes up for the shortcomings of the story, because it sort of makes you feel what the jits in the story are feeling. For example, the Twilight Town music in the first area of the game while you're playing as the completely unknown Roxas, it makes you feel nostalgic for the end of summer and wanting summer to continue, which is the exact problem that Roxas is having, because he is trying to make memories with his friends before he's forced to go back to school, which is a problem that I imagine a lot of us have had over the years. The music in this game was made by an orchestra, which was composed by Yoko Shimomura, which means nothing to me, and I imagine means nothing to most of you. But the dude apparently also worked on the Mario and Luigi games and a few Final Fantasies, which are all known for having banging beats, so it's no wonder that he also made banging beats for Kingdom Hearts. And I hope you don't just take my word that the music is banging. You might have heard some of the background music is also Kingdom Hearts music. Yeah, that's for a reason, to show you how freaking good and how it sets the sort of tone for the game as a whole. Before I get to my final point, let me tell you a story. I remember before going to bed or waking up in the middle of the night, turning on my PlayStation 2 and booting up Kingdom Hearts 2 and beating the final boss of the game over and over, much to the anger of my sister, who I shared a room with at the time. I would just fight this dude over and over. I couldn't tell you why. I couldn't tell you what inspired me to do it. All I can tell you is that I did it 20, 30, 40 more times than I can effing count times. I beat this final boss. And that sort of tells you what the final point for this is, and it's nostalgia. Whenever I think about my early childhood, I think of Kingdom Hearts 2. It was always there. And so that's kind of why I like Kingdom Hearts so much, and maybe why I think it's so good, is because it is synonymous with my childhood. Everybody's got a game that they have nostalgia for. You know, some people, maybe it be Ocarina of Time, maybe it be Super Mario 64, maybe it be Sonic the Hedgehog, maybe any forgotten number of games from the NES, the SNES, or the N64. Maybe it's goddamn Mega Man Legends? Is that the 3D Mega Man game, bro? Absolute banger. Banger classic that thing is. But it doesn't really matter what your game that it is nostalgia. Everybody's got it. And I think that is why I like Kingdom Hearts so much. And why it's a little bit ironic calling this video Remembering Kingdom Hearts 2. Because if I'm honest with you, I don't think I'll ever really be able to forget Kingdom Hearts 2. As it's been there for every major transition of my life so far. From a transition of childhood to elementary school, and then later with the final mix on the PS4 with high school into college. It's always been there for every transition. And if I'm honest with you, I look forward to playing this game before college graduation, maybe even before my wedding. Maybe even while I'm preparing for fatherhood. I know that Kingdom Hearts will always be there. And I know the ending was like really good, you know, it was like it really summed up the point, really summed up the video nice, it was a nice happy ending, really sent the kids home happy. But my boy Remy said I needed a 1 to 10 scale, or I would never make it in this business, which is, I don't know how he knows that, since he's not in the business, but, you know, who am I to say no to the boys, if I'm honest? So, Remy, obviously, you know, you told me to do this, so you're listening. I would give Kingdom Hearts 2 a 9 out of 10 for gameplay that is fast and fun, a admittedly weak story that is completely made up for with the soundtrack, and maybe just a point or two for nostalgia. Nobody's looking here. We can do what we want.